Hello, brilliant English learners, and a very warm welcome back to Podcast English. I am absolutely thrilled to have you join us today as we embark on another exciting journey to master English. At Podcast English, our core mission is to make your language learning experience not just effective, but genuinely captivating and deeply inspiring. We meticulously craft compelling narratives designed to significantly elevate your listening comprehension, enrich your vocabulary, and help you understand more complex English grammar in a natural, immersive context. Today, we're continuing our thrilling adventure at level B1. This means you'll encounter an even richer tapestry of nuanced vocabulary, more intricate sentence structures, and a slightly quicker, yet always perfectly clear and supportive storytelling pace compared to our A2 narratives. Our primary aim is to offer a stimulating yet achievable challenge, empowering you to build confidence and fluency with every listen. And, as always, our stories are more than just language lessons. They deliver profound messages and timeless life lessons that deeply resonate with real human experiences, emotions, and intellectual curiosity. Today's captivating story is about a puzzling disappearance, about sharp observation, and about the unexpected twists that can unfold when you refuse to give up. It's called The Mystery of the Missing Painting. So, sharpen your mind, listen closely, and let's solve this intriguing puzzle together. In the heart of the city, standing proudly on a quiet, tree-lined street, was the Grand City Art Museum. It was a beautiful building, old and magnificent, with tall white columns and large arched windows. Inside, its spacious halls were always filled with the quiet murmur of visitors admiring precious works of art. The museum was home to countless paintings, sculptures, and historical artifacts, each telling a unique story of creativity and human history. It was a place where beauty and history met, where visitors could lose themselves in different worlds and different times. The air inside always smelled faintly of old wood, dust, and the subtle scent of canvas and paint, a comforting aroma for art enthusiasts. Among its most prized possessions was a painting called The Whispering Willow. It was an old landscape painting, hundreds of years old, created by a famous artist whose name was known throughout the world. The painting showed a peaceful river flowing through a lush green valley with a single ancient willow tree bending gracefully over the water. The colors were soft and harmonious, muted greens, gentle blues, and warm golden yellows, creating a sense of calm and serenity. It was said that if you looked closely at the painting, you could almost hear the wind whispering through the willow leaves. The Whispering Willow was displayed in the main gallery behind a velvet rope and was admired by thousands of visitors every year. It was the museum's pride and joy, a masterpiece that drew crowds from all over the globe. The museum was protected by a team of highly experienced security guards. The head of security was a man named Mr. Davies. Mr. Davies was a meticulous and serious man, with sharp eyes that seemed to miss nothing. He had worked at the museum for over 20 years and knew every corner, every alarm system, and every valuable piece of art by heart. He took his job very seriously, believing that protecting these precious artworks was his life's most important mission. He oversaw a system of advanced cameras, motion sensors, and vigilant patrols, ensuring the museum was a fortress for its priceless collection. One cold, foggy Monday morning, the museum director, Mrs. Evans, arrived early as usual.
She walked directly to the main gallery to admire the Whispering Willow before the museum opened to the public. It was her morning ritual, a moment of peace and appreciation before the busy day began. She loved the painting dearly, finding comfort and inspiration in its quiet beauty. However, as she stepped into the gallery, she stopped abruptly. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Her heart pounded in her chest. The space where the Whispering Willow usually hung was empty, completely empty. There was only a blank spot on the wall, a darker rectangle where the painting's frame had protected the paint beneath from fading. Mrs. Evans felt a wave of shock and panic. "Impossible," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The painting was gone. How could this happen? The museum was supposed to be impenetrable." She immediately called Mr. Davies. His face turned pale when he saw the empty space. "This is unprecedented," he said, his voice grim. "Every alarm was active. Every camera was working. No windows or doors were broken. How could it disappear without a trace?" The mystery was deep and unsettling. It challenged everything he knew about museum security. The police were called immediately. Detective Harding arrived quickly. Detective Harding was a young, intelligent woman with a reputation for solving difficult cases. She had sharp, observant eyes and a quiet, thoughtful demeanor. She listened carefully as Mrs. Evans and Mr. Davies explained the situation. She examined the empty wall, the velvet rope, and the floor around the area. There were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, no broken glass. It was as if the painting had simply vanished into thin air. "This is an unusual one," she commented, her brow furrowed in concentration. The lack of evidence was as puzzling as the theft itself. Then Detective Harding asked to see the security camera footage. Mr. Davies led her to the control room, a room filled with monitors showing every angle of the museum. They watched the footage from Sunday night, when the museum closed, until Monday morning. They saw the security guards on their patrols. They saw the cleaning staff. They saw nothing suspicious. The painting was there when the last guard checked at 3 a.m. When the first cleaning staff arrived at 5 a.m., it was already gone. There was a 2-hour window, but no visible entry or exit. The mystery deepened. It was a perfect crime, or so it seemed. "There must be something," Detective Harding murmured. "A clue, something overlooked." She asked Mr. Davies to show her the room where the painting usually hung again. She looked at the blank wall, then at the ceiling, then at the floor. She noticed something very small, almost invisible on the floor near the blank spot. It was a tiny, almost transparent piece of a feather. It was unusual, not a normal bird feather. It looked like a feather from an exotic bird. Interesting, she thought. This small detail, seemingly insignificant, caught her attention. She picked it up carefully, placing it into a small evidence bag. This small feather was the first tangible clue, a whisper from the silence. She remembered the advice she often heard on Podcast English about paying attention to small details when listening to understand a story fully.
Detective Harding asked Mr. Davies about any recent changes in the museum or unusual visitors. Mr. Davies thought for a moment. "Well," he said, "a new exhibition started last week in the East Wing. It features some very rare ancient artifacts. Because of that, we hired a few temporary staff to help with the extra security and visitor guidance." He mentioned a new security guard named Mark, who had started working just 3 days before the painting disappeared. Mark was quiet and efficient, always on time, and seemed to learn the museum layout quickly. He had good references, too.
"And where was Mark during that 2-hour window?" Detective Harding asked. Mr. Davies checked the patrol logs. Mark was assigned to patrol the West Wing during that time. Our security system indicates he completed his rounds as scheduled. He showed her the digital log. Everything seemed to be in order. The system recorded every scan of his security badge at checkpoints. It was baffling. Detective Harding then went to interview Mark. She found him polite and professional. He answered all her questions clearly. He explained his patrol route, describing the quiet halls and the feeling of solitude during the early morning hours. He seemed genuinely concerned about the missing painting. He didn't seem nervous or suspicious. However, as he spoke, Detective Harding noticed something very subtle. There was a tiny, almost invisible scratch mark on the cuff of his security uniform jacket, near his wrist. It looked like a fresh scratch, perhaps from a sharp edge. It was a very small detail, but Detective Harding's keen eyes didn't miss it. She also remembered a detail from the initial security footage. At one point, just before the painting disappeared, there was a momentary flicker in the lights in the main gallery. It was barely noticeable, attributed to a power surge, but it was there. She filed that information away, connecting it mentally with the feather and the scratch. She knew that in a good mystery, every tiny detail mattered, just like every new word matters in a podcast English story. Detective Harding continued her investigation. She visited the local bird sanctuary. She showed them the small feather. The bird expert immediately recognized it. "This looks like a feather from a crested eagle," he said. "They are very rare and are usually found only in remote mountainous regions or in a very specialized private collection." This information was a crucial piece of the puzzle. Why would a rare eagle feather be in the museum? Eagles were not kept in the museum's general collection. She then returned to the museum. She re-examined the main gallery, looking at the ceiling again. This time, she noticed something peculiar about the ventilation system high above the empty space where the painting had hung. One of the grills looked slightly loose, almost imperceptibly so. It was very high up, almost at the ceiling, making it difficult to reach without a ladder or some other support. The detail was so subtle, it would have been easily dismissed by anyone not looking for something specific. Detective Harding called Mr. Davies again. "Mr. Davies," she said, "I need to check the ventilation system in the main gallery. Specifically, the grill directly above where the Whispering Willow had been hanging." Mr. Davies, though surprised, immediately provided the tools and a tall ladder. Together, they climbed up. As they inspected the grill, they found a small, almost invisible scuff mark on the metal frame. It looked like it had been recently pried open. And inside the ventilation shaft, a faint, barely visible track of dust and a few more tiny fibers. This was getting interesting. She then looked at the museum's blueprints. The ventilation system was connected throughout the building. The main gallery's shaft passed directly over other areas, including the West Wing, where Mark had been patrolling. She began to form a theory. A complex plan, but a possible one. This kind of careful, logical thinking was something she had honed by listening to complex narratives and problem-solving scenarios, much like those found in advanced podcast English stories. Detective Harding presented her theory to Mr. Davies and the police chief. "The painting was not stolen from the outside," she explained. "It was an inside job, meticulously planned. The thief used the ventilation system." She explained how the thief must have gained access to the shaft, possibly from a less visible area, then crawled through it to the main gallery. The temporary power flicker could have been a deliberate action to disable a specific sensor for a split second, allowing the thief to lower the painting. The scratch on Mark's uniform and the rare eagle feather were crucial clues. The feather might have come from a special glove or perhaps a pet used by the thief or an accomplice, or even something worn to help navigate the tight spaces. The scratch suggested he might have struggled with something sharp inside the shaft. "But why Mark?" Mr. Davies asked, still disbelieving. "His record was clean. He had excellent references." "His references were too good," Detective Harding replied. "I checked them. They were all fake. And his patrol route in the West Wing gave him access to a lesser-used ventilation shaft entrance that connects directly to the main gallery." She further explained that the theft required a deep understanding of the museum's security systems, which Mark, as a new, highly efficient guard, would have quickly learned and exploited. The motive was likely financial, given the painting's immense value. The police acted swiftly. They found Mark at his apartment. They found evidence there that confirmed Detective Harding's theory. Special climbing equipment, a very detailed map of the museum's ventilation system, and even a single beautiful glove made with exotic bird feathers, the source of the tiny feather found at the scene. Mark confessed. He had been planning the theft for months, using his security guard position to learn the museum's weaknesses. The painting was still hidden, carefully stored, waiting to be sold on the black market. The Whispering Willow was returned to the museum, undamaged. The entire city celebrated its return. Mrs. Evans and Mr. Davies thanked Detective Harding profusely. "You have truly saved our most precious treasure," Mrs. Evans said. "Your attention to detail is extraordinary." Alex, the history student from our previous story, visited the museum that week. He was thrilled to see the Whispering Willow back in its place. He admired Detective Harding's work. He realized that solving a complex problem, whether it's a historical mystery or a modern crime, requires careful observation, logical thinking, and the ability to connect seemingly unrelated pieces of information. It was like piecing together a complex historical narrative, just as he did with the old map. This story, The Mystery of the Missing Painting, offers several powerful lessons that are perfect for your B1 English journey with Podcast English. First, the importance of keen observation. Detective Harding noticed tiny details that others missed: a feather, a scratch, a loose grill. In English learning, pay close attention to details: how words are pronounced, how grammar rules are applied, subtle nuances in meaning. These small observations build your overall understanding. Second, persistence in problem solving. Detective Harding didn't give up when the initial evidence was confusing. She kept digging, kept looking for clues. Learning English can feel like a big puzzle. When you don't understand something, don't give up. Keep listening to Podcast English. Keep researching. Keep practicing. Persistence is key to solving the English puzzle. Third, connecting the dots. Detective Harding linked the feather, the scratch, the flicker, and the ventilation system to solve the mystery. In English, try to connect new vocabulary to words you already know. Connect new grammar patterns to sentences you've heard. Building these connections helps you understand and remember information more effectively. Fourth, not everything is as it seems. Mark seemed like a good, reliable guard, but he was the thief. In English, Context is everything. Sometimes a word has multiple meanings, or a phrase can be ironic. Don't always take things at face value. Practice listening for deeper meaning, especially in our podcast English stories, which often have an underlying message. And finally, the value of critical thinking. Detective Harding used logic and reasoning to piece together the evidence. When you listen to English, don't just passively listen. Think critically. What is the main idea? What are the supporting details? What does this character truly mean? This active engagement will greatly improve your comprehension. Thank you for listening to The Mystery of the Missing Painting on Podcast English. I hope this story inspired your inner detective and helped you practice your B1 English skills. Remember, the world is full of mysteries, and your English skills can help you uncover them. If you enjoyed this intriguing story and want to hear more B1 English stories that challenge your mind and expand your language abilities, please give us a thumbs up. Your likes help us know what content you enjoy most and help other English learners find our channel. And please subscribe to Podcast English for more captivating narratives, expanded vocabulary, and advanced tips for your English journey. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next story, our next lesson, our next opportunity to learn and grow together. We are so happy to have you here, investigating and learning with us. See you next time, and keep your detective hats on.